Scott Adams passed away at 68 on January 13th. For 30 years, this man's comic strip hung in 2,000 newspapers worldwide. His books sold millions. He coined phrases that entered the business lexicon. Dilbert became a mirror where millions of office workers saw themselves every day. But in February 2023, Scott Adams said something on his live stream that would change all of that overnight. Hundreds of newspapers dropped him. His publisher cut ties. His name became radioactive, canceled, blackballed. Now, Adams' legacy continues to provide a mirror for us to contemplate ourselves differently. The same media outlets that had canceled him are now writing in his obituary a completely different story about the same man's life. So who was Scott Adams, really? A racist who, according to some, got what he deserved? Or a truth seeker who paid the ultimate professional price? The answer to that question tells us less about him and a lot more about us. Let's establish what we know for a fact. In May 2025, Adams announced he had metastatic prostate cancer. It had spread to his bones. He was blunt with his audience.
So my life expectancy is maybe this summer.
By early January 2026, he entered hospice care. He then stopped feeling his legs. Heart failure made breathing difficult. He told listeners the odds of recovery were essentially zero. On January 13th, his ex-wife Shelley Miles posted a video on his YouTube channel and announced what everyone feared. He's not with us anymore. Then she read something Adams had written on New Year's Day, a final message he'd prepared when he still had the strength. Listen to what he wrote. I am of sound mind as I write this, January 1st, 2026. My body failed before my brain. Then came something unexpected. Adams, a self-described non-believer, wrote this. Many of my Christian friends have asked me to find Jesus before I go. I have to admit, the risk-reward calculation looks so attractive. I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior and look forward to spending an eternity with Him. He ended on a positive note, recognizing he was successfully useful. Those are the facts. What follows is where division begins. If you read his obituary in the New York Times, you'll get one version of Scott Adams. If you read what President Trump posted on Truth Social, you'll get another. Both are describing what seem like two completely different people. Let's map both, because understanding this divide is the entire point. The New York Times, NPR, The Guardian, most mainstream outlets are telling essentially this story. Scott Adams was legitimately brilliant. Dilbert captured something real about corporate America. The Dilbert principle, that companies promote the incompetent to management to get them out of the way, became actual business school reading. But in 2023, he crossed his own Rubicon. On February 22, 2023, Adams was discussing a Rasmussen poll on his live stream. The poll asked Americans if they agreed with the statement, "It's okay to be white." The poll showed that about half of Black respondents disagreed or were unsure. Adams' response?
So if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not according to me, according to this poll, that's a hate group. That's a hate group, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. And I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I would give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. Just get the away. Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this. This can't be fixed, right? This can't be fixed. You just have to escape. So that's what I did. I went to a neighborhood where, I have a very low black population. Because unfortunately, there's a high correlation between the density. And this is according to Don Lemon, by the way. So here I'm just quoting Don Lemon when he notes that when he lived in a mostly black neighborhood, there were a bunch of problems that he didn't see in white neighborhoods. So even Don Lemon sees a big difference in your own quality of living based on where you live and who's there. So I think it makes no sense whatsoever as a white citizen of America to try to help black citizens anymore. It doesn't make sense. It's no longer a rational impulse. And so I'm going to I'm going to back off from being helpful to Black America because it doesn't seem like it pays off. Like I've been doing it all my life, and the only outcome is I get called a racist. That's the only outcome. It makes no sense to help Black Americans if you're white. It's over. Don't even think it's worth trying. Totally not trying.
The reaction was instant. The following week, this was Adam's new reality. The USA Today network, 200-plus papers, dropped Dilbert. Andrews McMeel, his syndicator, cut all ties. Penguin Random House canceled his upcoming book. Major outlets called him a racist. Adams defended himself, claiming he was using hyperbole and that his comments were taken out of context. The mainstream narrative says he destroyed a 30-year legacy with his own words. The consequences were deserved. But there's another story being told right now, primarily by conservatives, his supporters, and prominent figures. President Trump posted on Truth Social, "Scott Adams was a fantastic guy who liked and respected me when it wasn't fashionable to do so." Vice President J.D. Vance called him a true American original. To his defenders, the 2023 incident wasn't racism, it was pattern recognition. They point out Adams was responding to poll data showing significant racial hostility. He'd spent years warning about rising racial tension from all sides. His advice to get away was framed as self-preservation, not supremacy. The phrase, "it's okay to be white," is only considered racist because the left decided it was. And here's what they emphasize. After being canceled, Adams didn't disappear. He relaunched Dilbert as Dilbert Reborn on a subscription platform. Thousands of paying subscribers followed him. His final message, accepting Christ, saying he had an amazing life, highlighting being useful, reads to them as a man at peace, not a bigot getting his due. This narrative says he was canceled for speaking uncomfortable truths. The media mob wanted him destroyed, but he pushed forward and through, right up until the end. At its peak, Dilbert was everywhere. Not just in 2000 newspapers, it was pinned to office cubicles, forwarded in early corporate emails, turned into merchandise, a TV show, even a frozen burrito. Dilbert gave language to millions of frustrated workers. If you've ever been in a meeting that could have been an email, dealt with a clueless boss, or felt like your workplace was run by people who don't understand the actual work, Dilbert spoke for you. Scott Adams was a cultural translator for an entire class of workers who felt invisible. Now, about that poll, the question, "Is it okay to be white?" is deliberately provocative. It originated on the forum 4chan in 2017 as a way to troll progressives. To create a question where answering no sounds racist, but answering yes gets you labeled as supporting white supremacy. That said, when Rasmussen asked Black Americans, "Is it okay to be white?" they found 53% said yes, it's okay. 47% said no, or I'm not sure. Adams' response was to call Black people a hate group, based on that 47%. He cited this poll as his reason for moving to a majority white town, adding that he felt frustrated trying to change these attitudes. Now, were his comments racist? His statement was a sweeping generalization that unfairly characterized an entire race based on a poll, ignoring the 53% of Black Americans who answered yes. This kind of collective judgment is textbook prejudice. Was Adams a white supremacist? There's no evidence of that. He expressed frustration with what he saw as anti-white sentiment and his failed efforts to reduce racial division. Ironically, in his frustration, he ended up mirroring the very behavior he criticized, making broad racial generalizations based on perceived group attitudes. Scott Adams died on January 13, 2026, at age 68. One thing remains undisputed. He was a brilliant cartoonist who created one of corporate America's most beloved characters. As a political commentator, however, his legacy is sharply divided. His supporters mourn a fearless satirist, destroyed for questioning narratives the establishment deemed untouchable. His critics see a racist who got what he deserved. Something for people to beware of is, in this day and age, careers can die in hours, and people should be mindful of the consequences of their words and actions. Regardless of his canceling, Scott kept going, never showing signs of resentment for what happened in 2023. He felt useful and true to his ideas until the very end. Rest in peace, Scott Adams. Your comic made millions of people feel seen. Before you go, we want to hear from you. What's your take on Scott Adams? Was this cancellation justified or not? If you value factual analyses like this, subscribe to our channel and help us keep producing content that goes deeper than the headlines. And if you think more people should see this perspective, share this video. We also read the comments closely, so tell us, what topic should we analyze next?